Right, okay, that's the 1911, more or less basically stripped down to nothing. And now I'm going to rebuild it. It should be fun. Okay, so first things first, I'll do the hand grip, get the trigger back into where it was. Okay. Mag release pin back in where it belongs. Slot it into position. And get your screwdriver into the pin and just rotate the pin clockwise this time and just let it release itself. And that's the mag release pin now locked in place. And if you remember, I was saying about the screw that's in here, you notice now the trigger's stopping at a certain point. You can adjust that screw so it stops less or stops more. So there's a lot of play in it. Like I say, I don't know much about them, so I'm not going to interfere with that because it works fine the way it is. So I'm going to leave that as it is. Now, next thing I want to do is I want to get the hammer assembly and the rail where you'd possibly mount a laser or a torch. Just slot that back in its position. Now, the 2 screws. There. And there. You don't have to over tighten them, I think. Just once they're tight, they're tight. You don't have to go crazy on them. Now, next thing I want to do is I want to get the spring back in. The spring for the hammer and the safety, and this is going to be tricky. You say this is an awkward job to do, especially when you're trying to do it for a camera. There's a little notch there that the spring sits into. It's not sitting right at the moment. I may have it in wrong. That's it. That's the spring sitting in its right position. What I can do now is I can hold down the safety. Okay, hold that down to keep the spring in place. Now what we need to do is you get this little guy that came from here, put it back in. It's very important that, see that hole, that bar sits into that hole, and now the spring is coming loose again. It should just slide in, but you want to be careful and make sure that the bar, if you need to, just use a screwdriver just to give it a little bit of lift, just to sit it into place, and that's it in place. Yeah. Okay, so what I want to do now is the pin that we took out earlier, I need to place it back in like so. Push down. Once that's done, just give it a tap with a screwdriver just to get it level. That's we're in. Yeah. And of course, just check, pull the hammer back and check, make sure it's working. Okay, so safety in, pull the trigger, make sure the hammer is working okay. So once that's done, you can pull that back out of the way. And that is the lower receiver put back together. Don't forget the screw that we took out in the first place that goes in there. Yeah. Yeah, so that's your lower receiver back together again. Okay. Now, upper receiver, and this is the tricky bit. Okay. Now, because on the air nozzle, because this spring is not fixed to anything, the best way to put it back into the gun would be to place it down on a flat surface and turn the receiver up on top of it. Grab a hold of it with your hand underneath, okay, and just push it into place, so that way when you flip it over you're not losing the spring. Make sure it's back in place. It is, so just put that screw back in there and then tighten up that screw. Okay, I'm happy with that. Then the Allen screw that came out here goes in there. Now the upper receiver's back together, but now what I got to do is I got to build the hop unit back together again and put it back together with the barrel. Take our barrel. Next, we set it back into the hop unit, which is here. And notice there's a hole in the hop unit. That nub that's sticking out sits into that hole. Okay. That sits in nice and snug. Then what you want to do is the upper part. There we go. That guy sits in there, the spring has to go inside. The spring sits, or not the spring, the actual hop sits in there first. Okay. And I don't know if you can see that in the camera. And then sit this guy then over it. Get 2 small screws. Tiny screws. There's your barrel and hop rebuilt. Now I've noticed there's a bit of dirt inside, it's a little bit white piece of. Just remove that. Okay. Don't want any dirt getting in there. Now what we want to do is slide your barrel back into your external barrel. Yeah, this will require a bit of force. Don't be afraid to give it a little push in like that. Okay. Now, external barrel. Oops, wrong way. External barrel goes in this way. Okay. As you can see, it's a nice snug fit. Push it all the way in to the air nozzle. Okay. Then just to hold the external barrel in place, you want to put the collar back over it. Okay. You'll notice there's a small grey nub. Okay, just turn that in that way. Push down and then turn it back to the middle. Next step then is the guy there is to go in this way. It's the spring, I suppose. No, that's the spring guide, I suppose. You need to push the spring all the way down into that. Get the spring guide back onto the hop like so. And that's the upper receiver rebuilt. Okay, and I just want to put the 2 upper and lower back together again. Okay, and to do that, just these 2 rails here go into those 2 slots there. Okay. Nice and easy, you don't want to damage anything. Push it all the way down, she kicks back, that's her in place. Now, in order to get this pin back in, okay, again, you'll notice there's a fairly big hole here, okay, well, not big, but there's a hole there. This little small notch in the upper receiver needs to just sit about there, okay. And what that does, it enables this to push right through. So I'm going to do that now. Now, at the moment I can't push it in because it's not sitting in the right position. So if I kick the hammer back a small bit, or the upper receiver, and then push, there's a small pin or a spring here stopping me from pushing this pin in. I have it now. Okay, keep it up in this position, draw back the upper receiver, and then bring down. Oh, with the scratch in the gun. And push in, and then just reset the gun like so, and that's it. 1911, stripped down and rebuilt. Again, I have to stress, it's my first time doing this, guys, so if you think there's anything I missed, or if there's anything you'd want to see, or there's any questions you want to ask, please just fire a question to the channel down below, and or even check me out on the Facebook page and ask any questions there as well. I'll get to them.